Are you tired of high-pressure tactics?
No, I'm not going to sign that. It's too much.
At Community Auto Group, you'll find we have a straightforward approach.
If other dealers have made you uncomfortable, give Community a try. You'll enjoy your experience here and find a straightforward deal that's right for you, not high-pressure tactics.
Community Auto Group, straightforward deals from the straightforward dealer.
When I went to school in government class, they must not teach the same thing I got taught. Voting was very important as far as having democracy. But evidently this school board don't believe in democracy. They believe they're goddamn dictators, is what they are. And then I'll tell the people this: if the levy should pass, it isn't for 5 years, it's forever. And if you don't believe me, look at the statistics. All 300 and some school boards that ever passed the levy, it never goes away because they can't handle their budget. And then I think common sense, when you're arguing with people that got a big education, a piece of toilet paper on the wall that says they're smarter than you, that toilet paper don't mean nothing compared to common sense. Anybody that would tie up our sales tax for 16 more years to remodel when they could have did, say, one building at a time, don't make sense to me. And when that girl Stacy said elephant in the room, it is true. And I'm thinking, if it's true, I had a girl tell me this that's thinking about running for school board. She can't believe we now have a principal in 7th grade, a principal in 8th grade, a principal in 9th grade. They want to lay off 12 assistant coaches. All they got to do is go back to one principal and they'll probably have another couple $100,000 that they don't need. And then when the second time they went for the levy, they needed computers. God, they needed those computers. And when it failed, they spent over $300,000 doing tennis courts. Well, I got nothing against tennis courts because I used to play myself. But I think a computer, if you know the dictionary, that's a piece of equipment. So if they used equipment money, they could have used the equipment money to buy computers and not do a tennis court. And then coming down here to meet you, it looks like gas jumped again. It's going to be $4 a gallon by the end of the month. Anyway, quite a few years back, I got in a very good argument with a school board member. I won't mention his name, but he informed me that since I didn't graduate from a college, I wasn't educated enough to think the big problems that he thinks. And anyway, I figured he was a contractor, and I told him, I says, basic skill tests went down 19 years in a row. You got on the school board, think you're doing a good job? Explain to me why they've went down 19 years in a row. He didn't have an answer. But I figured a job against him. And I won't mention names, but the guy called me up and he says, on a Sunday, can you come over and answer a couple questions on this job? And I says, well, I haven't got all the figuring done because the pipe has to go up through a valley, and that's very expensive. He says, don't worry about the pipe. That ain't what I want to know. So I went over there and he says, what is the heatilator, the firebox unit, going to cost for my fireplace? And I told him what the price was. And he says, what is that, wholesale or what? And I said, no, that's retail. I want to make my 20%. He says, the job's yours. I says, what do you mean the job's mine? He says, the guy figuring against you, who was a school board member, was going to sell him the heatilator at his wholesale price, $200 higher than my retail price. Those are the kind of people you deal with. But yet they act like they're smarter than you. How's that for an answer?
That's pretty good, Jack. And then you wanted to mention something about the declining enrollment in our schools here in Mason City?
Yes. There's got to be some point that when, right now I think is 6,000 something a kid. When that goes down another 50 kids, that's over $3,000. But they can't get it through their head. Sometime with the declining enrollment, they gotta figure they aren't going to get as much money from the state. but they can't figure it. For some reason, it's just sickening how they never have enough money. They want to get enough money. To me, Anita has got a Cadillac school system right now, but she wants to have it. I can't even think of that Italian car, Donalini or something like that.
How about Rolls Royce?
Oh, there's past Rolls Royce. Hell, it's better than that one. And the thing is this, they're going to get rid of 12 coaches. The 12 coaches probably do more for all the kids that they're teaching or involved with than some of the counselors. Get rid of a counselor. What's $40,000 with those people? They don't care. They give you a sad story. I had a retired school teacher tell me, with counselors, we might keep one kid out of the pen. Hell, with the $800 million surplus we got down there, they ought to build 5 more pens and get rid of the trash in the state of Iowa. They're going to end up there anyway. And
you wanted to say something about the obstructionist remark made by a school board member?
Well, I think the guy, he's another one of those guys that got a piece of toilet paper hanging on his wall that says he's smart. And when you run down the average peoples of Mason City that signed the petition only wanting a right to vote, how do you know they ain't going to vote yes? But when you tell them you're an obstruction, I can guarantee you not one of those people that signed that petition will vote yes for you people. They don't get it. They think they're above everybody. They're below everybody as far as I'm concerned. And there's only one person on the school board that I would hate to see lose her job. I won't mention her name. But if I remember right, when the superintendent run down our mortality, she sort of apologized. She couldn't believe he made that statement. I won't mention her name. And then the assistant superintendent, he apologized to me for the 2 people that pissed me off out there the other day when I had a couple more petitions to turn in. Neither one would come to the glass hole. I told him, maybe you ought to put a buzzer on there so they know that I'm standing there. I says, hell with a goatee, maybe they don't see me. And he says, well, I want to apologize for the school board. We don't operate that way. Well, hell, I got 2 people operating like that way. So that just goes to, and I told Hal, don't apologize, you ain't the one that pissed me off.
All right, Jack. Anything else you want to add today?
Well, they'll be sneaky on the election. Ken Klein, I think we should bring up one thing about when I turned in the petitions. When Ramona wasn't there, I went to the courthouse to tell Ken Klein, the auditor that's in charge of elections, that she wasn't there. And he was sick with eye problems, but the girl there told me she called earlier to say she had to go to a funeral, which is nothing wrong with that, and she would definitely be back at 12 o'clock. I went back at 10 minutes to 12, and I think we left at a quarter after 12 and went and ate someplace, and she called on the telephone, and I never looked at my watch, but I'm just guessing it's pretty close to 20 minutes to a quarter to 1. She's the one that said she'd be back. And when you show up 45 minutes late on a deal, the last time you can turn in the papers, I was getting a little bit nervous, thinking they were going to pull something. Maybe she was going out the farm and take the rest of the day off. How do you know? When
you don't. Yep, you don't know, Jack. That's the problem.
And I'll tell you something else. I asked her if she had a couple minutes to answer a couple questions. She said she did. I asked her what the table cost that they all sit at. It's got to be fancy and this and that. She said she'd get back to me. I don't know where she's checking out, but I says I haven't heard nothing from her. Anita, the superintendent, says you keep pushing free drivers training. I think we need free driver's training. Mason City's dying. The kids need a driver's license to go find a job. She says, don't worry about it, Jack. If the kid is really poor, we have a deal where they get free driver's training. So
hold on a second. Jack, hold on a second. Anita Misich told you Mason City is dying?
No, I'm saying it's dying.
Oh, okay.
I'm saying it's dying.
All right.
Well, you can just go by the enrollment and the people moving to get a job.
What's the enrollment numbers?
It was
now?
8,000, the highest, over 8,000. Now it's 3,700. That's over half. Over half the kids are on free lunch or a cheap lunch. And anyway, they act like the people that own houses, and you hear these idiots that tell you, well, people rent. Don't you think the guy that owns a house raises the rent when his taxes go up? And anyway,
that is the case, by the way.
There's got to be someday, it's got to stop and be even. But Anita's already had in the paper that if the levy passes, this getting back to the elephant in the room, she wants to hire 8 or 9 more people, counselors and that. And hell, you know, they're all $50,000, $60,000, $80,000 a year people. And something that don't make sense to me, I've never met the guy, I've never talked to him, but what I hear through the grapevine, Jumper, if I'm saying his name right, the principal out the high school, I think from what I hear, he's a very good principal. Hell, they ain't gonna keep him as principal. He's going into the elephant room and be in charge of something with I don't even know what his salary is, but it's gotta be over 100,000. And she says, they ain't got an elephant room? It's like words. Assets and liabilities and simple math is different than when I went to school, and they think people are so dumb in this town. They don't know the difference, but they do know simple math. If your taxes go up a couple dollars, 1,000, that's going up because it was $20 higher 10 years ago than it is today. It's still going up, but they say it isn't going up. Well, I don't know how they come up with that kind of math, but that's the kind of stuff they feed people. And there's people dumb enough in this town that believe them.
Well, Jack, we will wait and see when they're actually going to hold the referendum on the instructional support levy, whether it will be with the school board election or on a separate date. We have not definitively been told yet, so we will wait and see what their decision is on that, and then we will report more.
See this? That's my goal. Number 3.